Living here is not a matter of necessity for chimpanzees. It is a powerful declaration of just how strong they really are. In these dense, shadowy forests, life is anything but easy. Every passing day brings a new, and often brutal, battle for survival. Just imagine it. Deep in the silence of the forest, a massive male suddenly erupts in fury. With a single violent jerk, he tears a thick, heavy branch from a tree and swings it through the air, as if it were nothing more than a fragile matchstick. That is the terrifying physical strength of a chimpanzee. Power enough to make even some of the forest's most formidable predators think twice. And when two rival males come face to face, fighting for dominance within the group, they do not simply threaten each other. They launch themselves at one another like wild animals, their furious screams echoing through the forest. They pull at each other's hair. They throw one another to the ground. And with teeth sharp enough to tear through flesh, they try to inflict serious wounds. It is a brutal, bloody struggle where the loser cannot expect much mercy. But right in the middle of all that violence, strength, and aggression, chimpanzees reveal another side of themselves, one that can leave even experienced observers stunned. Imagine two powerful males locked in a fierce battle over a cluster of ripe fruit. While they are completely distracted, a smaller but far more cunning chimpanzee quietly slips behind them, steals the fruit, and disappears without making a sound. And if an angry male notices him and gives chase, the clever thief does something completely unexpected. Instead of running away, he suddenly drops to the ground. Then he begins acting like a frightened child, crying, pleading, and desperately begging for forgiveness. Moments like these reveal something remarkable. In the struggle to survive in this forest, raw muscle is not enough. You also need a clever mind, quick instincts, and the ability to turn almost any situation to your advantage. Millions of years ago, Africa was reshaped by a dramatic geological transformation. A powerful river system formed across the landscape, creating what we now know as the Congo River. This vast waterway became a major barrier, separating ancient populations that had once shared the same forests. Unable to cross the water easily, these early apes became isolated on opposite sides of the river. In the difficult, dense forests to the north, one population faced the pressures of a demanding environment. Over generations, survival favored animals that could move quickly through the trees, with long, flexible arms, remarkable agility, and increasingly sophisticated problem-solving abilities. These adaptations helped shape the chimpanzees we know today: intelligent, adaptable, and highly skilled forest dwellers. Today, 4 recognized subspecies of chimpanzee are found across different parts of Africa, and each has developed its own distinctive way of life. The Western chimpanzee is particularly adaptable, living not only in dense forests, but also in warmer, drier savanna environments. In some areas, they may use caves and other sheltered places to escape extreme heat. The central chimpanzee lives deep within the forests of the Congo Basin, where the canopy can block much of the sunlight from reaching the ground. These chimpanzees are generally among the larger-bodied populations. Then there is the eastern chimpanzee, known for some of the richest documented traditions of tool use. They can use everything from blades of grass to stones for a variety of everyday tasks. And finally, there's the remarkably elusive Nigeria-Cameroon chimpanzee. Found only in a relatively small region of West Africa, these chimpanzees are rare and difficult to observe. They inhabit dense forest landscapes where direct encounters can be extremely uncommon. 4 populations, shaped by different environments, and together, they reveal just how remarkably adaptable the chimpanzee can be. When it comes to the way chimpanzees live, their lifestyle is just as mysterious and unusual as the creatures themselves. Their enigmatic home lies across the vast, humid, tropical forests of Central and West Africa. Here, much of their day is spent high above the ground, moving through the canopy, leaping from branch to branch, and swinging through the forest with remarkable agility. Their long, flexible arms allow them to move confidently at heights of around 60 feet, climbing, swinging, and even tumbling through the trees with little hesitation. When they leap from one tree to another, their balance and coordination can seem almost gymnast-like. Yet for them, this complex maze of branches is simply home, a place they can navigate with surprising ease. But as the sun begins to set, and darkness slowly spreads across the forest, their loud, echoing calls begin to rise through the canopy. Then, each chimpanzee starts preparing a place to sleep. They bend branches and gather fresh leaves, carefully weaving the materials together to create a soft, comfortable bed high above the forest floor. With remarkable skill, they intertwine twigs and foliage until a secure platform takes shape. And once the night settles in, they lie down high in the trees, away from many of the dangers below. Building a fresh sleeping nest every night is one of their most distinctive habits. And it also helps keep them away from parasites and other sources of disease. For a chimpanzee, the day ends high above the ground, in a bed built from the very forest that surrounds it. But when a powerful storm suddenly tears through the forest, life high in the trees can become a terrifying test of survival. As fierce winds violently shake the trees, chimpanzees cling tightly to the branches, staying close to one another for safety. And in the middle of a violent storm, if a tiny infant or a weaker chimpanzee loses its grip and begins falling from 60 feet above the ground, the scene can become truly heart-stopping. But this is exactly when their remarkable agility and their deep bond with one another can make all the difference. Fighting against gravity, he twists through the air, grabs hold of a lower branch with one hand, and stretches out his long, powerful arm with the other. Then, just before the falling infant can hit the ground, he catches it in midair. Amid the roar of the storm, pulling a life back from the edge of death in a single, breathtaking moment. It is a striking display of their incredible agility, physical strength, and the deep bonds that hold a chimpanzee family together. You can get a sense of their physical strength by watching what happens when an adult male becomes angry and decides to make his power known. He pounds his fists against the thick trunk of a tree, sending a deep, booming sound echoing through the forest like a war drum. Their muscles are remarkably dense, giving them exceptional strength for their size. And when an enraged chimpanzee tears a heavy branch apart with a single powerful movement and throws it to the ground, the sheer display of force is enough to make even some of the forest's larger predators think twice about getting too close. But despite all that intimidating strength, chimpanzees have a surprisingly vulnerable side. When one bends down at the edge of a stream to drink, a sudden splash or a fish jumping from the water can send it scrambling backward in alarm, sometimes even tumbling onto the ground. Their bodies are built with relatively little body fat and a high proportion of muscle, making them poorly adapted for swimming. For that reason, a deep river or lake can become a serious danger. This natural fear of deep water keeps chimpanzees away from dangerous depths whenever possible. allowing them to rule their world where they are strongest, on solid ground. Beyond physical strength, one of the chimpanzee's greatest advantages is its remarkable sensory awareness. These sharp senses keep them alert to the dangers and opportunities around them. From high in the canopy, they constantly listen, moving their ears and paying attention to even faint sounds coming from far across the forest. If a predator approaches, or the slightest crack of dry leaves breaks the silence, they can react almost immediately. A chimpanzee may give a distinctive warning call, alerting the rest of the group before climbing higher into the trees, where it can find greater safety. Their senses also play an important role in finding food. Using their long, powerful hands, they push aside leaves and search for ripe, red fruit. Their vision allows them to distinguish colors much like we do, helping them spot ripe food among the surrounding foliage. They can quickly pick the fruit and bring it to their mouths. Their sense of smell is also highly developed. By detecting subtle scents, they can assess the condition of fruit even before opening or eating it. And when they encounter an unfamiliar plant, their sense of taste can help them recognize something that may be harmful, causing them to spit it out almost immediately. In the forest, survival is not always about being the strongest. Sometimes, it is about seeing, hearing, smelling, and sensing danger before it is too late. Their remarkable intelligence becomes impossible to ignore when a young chimpanzee sits on the ground, lifts a heavy stone with both hands, and brings it down like a hammer onto a walnut or another hard-shelled fruit. With surprising precision and control, it strikes the shell without destroying the edible nut inside. Then, with an almost unmistakable sense of satisfaction, it picks up the broken pieces and begins to eat. This ability to use tools has helped scientists recognize something remarkable. Humans are not the only intelligent animals capable of using objects to solve problems. Then, when heavy rain suddenly pours through the forest, chimpanzees do not simply panic and run. Instead, they quickly move toward banana plants and other broadleaf vegetation, tear off large leaves, and hold them above their heads like umbrellas. Then they settle down together, waiting for the rain to pass. And the expressions on their faces can look almost remarkably human, as if they are simply tired of being caught in the rain. This simple response reveals an important part of their intelligence: the ability to quickly adapt their behavior to changing conditions around them. And then there is another remarkable skill. A chimpanzee carefully breaks off a long, flexible blade of grass, inserts it into a termite mound, and quickly pulls it back out. Clinging to the grass are termites, which the chimpanzee eagerly eats. This behavior is not simply instinct. Mothers teach the technique to their young, who watch closely and imitate them. The youngsters may spend hours breaking pieces of grass, inserting them into termite nests, and practicing the technique again and again. It is a powerful example of how knowledge can be learned, practiced, and passed from one generation to the next. For chimpanzees, finding food is one of the biggest missions of everyday life. As the sun rises, they move through the treetops, reaching for fresh leaves, soft fruits, and tender shoots, often tearing them from the branches and quickly eating them. This food provides the energy they need to stay active as they travel through the forest in search of their next meal, moving from one feeding area to another. But when they need additional minerals, or when something is upsetting their stomach, they may come down to the forest floor and deliberately seek out particular types of damp soil. They eat small amounts of this soil, which can provide minerals and may also help reduce the effects of certain plant compounds they consume. This knowledge is not simply instinctive. Young chimpanzees can learn which places to visit by watching older members of the group, building a kind of natural knowledge of the forest that they can rely on when they need it. Their hunting techniques reveal another side of the chimpanzee, a side that can be surprisingly predatory. High in the trees, a group of male chimpanzees suddenly spots a troop of red colobus monkeys. The mood changes instantly. The alpha male gives a low, distinctive call, and within moments, the hunters move into position among the branches. Their movements become quiet and coordinated, revealing a level of cooperation that is remarkably effective. The forest seems to fall silent. Then, without warning, the hunting party moves. Some chimpanzees drive the monkeys forward, while others position themselves ahead, waiting in ambush. Terrified, the monkeys scream and leap desperately from branch to branch, trying to escape. But the chimpanzees have already begun closing off their possible routes. Even along thin branches high above the ground, they move with astonishing speed, leaving their prey almost no time to react. One monkey makes a desperate leap through the air, but at that exact moment, a powerful chimpanzee launches after it and grabs hold of its leg. The struggle ends on the forest floor, and the hunt is over. But the story does not end with the kill. The meat now becomes something more than food. It can become a kind of social currency. A successful hunter may climb to a higher position with a piece of meat in his hands, while other members of the group gather around, reaching toward him and waiting for a share. And who receives that meat can depend on the relationships and alliances within the group. In their reproductive strategy, female chimpanzees can use a remarkably effective form of social strategy. During periods when they are fertile, a female may mate with several different males within the group, sometimes doing so away from the attention of others. By mating with multiple males, she can make it difficult for any male, even the alpha, to know with certainty whether he is the father of her future infant. The advantage of this strategy becomes especially important when the group's leadership changes. If a new, aggressive alpha male takes control and begins threatening the infants of the previous leader, uncertainty over paternity can work in their favor. He may hesitate because the infant could potentially be his own. In this way, the female's mating strategy can reduce the risk of aggression toward her offspring. And within the group, the infant may then receive protection and care from multiple individuals, giving it a better chance of surviving its vulnerable early years. The first days after birth are among the most vulnerable in a chimpanzee's life. A mother keeps her tiny, helpless infant pressed tightly against her chest, carrying it away from every danger in the forest. Whether that danger comes from a predator or from fighting chimpanzees within the group. For a long time, she rarely lets the infant out of her reach. Her attention is focused almost entirely on nursing it, protecting it, and carefully grooming its body to remove parasites and keep it clean. As the infant grows stronger, it begins riding on its mother's back as she moves through the forest. And whenever she pauses to rest, the youngster may begin exploring on its own, hanging from small branches, tumbling, and making playful leaps much like a human child. It falls again and again, then gets back up, and keeps moving. All the while, its mother watches closely, and the moment danger appears, she quickly pulls the infant back against her body and holds it close. Her protection is just as important when the youngster begins exploring food. If it reaches for a poisonous fruit or an unfamiliar insect, the mother can quickly intervene, taking it away before the infant can eat it. She also teaches it which stones are useful for cracking nuts. and how to hide when a predator approaches. Through years of close contact, the mother gradually passes on the skills the youngster will need to survive. This deep bond between mother and infant can last for 5 to 7 years, forming one of the most important relationships in a chimpanzee's social life. Their deep emotional lives can be just as surprising as their physical abilities. When a chimpanzee is injured in a fight or hurt after a fall, its cries of pain can draw others toward it. They may sit beside the injured animal, gently grooming the affected area, cleaning around its wounds, and touching or stroking its back as if trying to comfort it. These behaviors reveal a remarkable capacity for empathy and social care. And when a mother dies from illness or an attack, leaving her infant alone, the youngster may not be abandoned. Another female, and sometimes even a strong adult male, may take the orphaned infant into their care. They carry it on their backs, help it find food, protect it from danger, and continue caring for it as though it were their own. This kind of care is a remarkable example of the strong social bonds found within chimpanzee communities. And then there are moments of pure joy. When chimpanzees reunite after being apart for a long time, or after a successful hunt, they may rush toward one another, embrace, pat each other's backs, and play together. They may even tickle one another, producing breathy vocalizations that can sound remarkably like laughter as they roll around on the ground. A confrontation with a giant gorilla can become one of the most dramatic encounters in the forest. When food becomes scarce, a large group of chimpanzees may gather around a peaceful gorilla family, filling the forest with loud calls and displays. Despite the gorilla's enormous size and physical strength, the sudden, coordinated commotion can briefly throw the family into confusion. The chimpanzees approach from different directions, moving through both the trees and the ground, creating constant pressure around the gorillas. The gorilla may respond by rising upright and pounding its chest with tremendous force, trying to intimidate the approaching chimpanzees. But the chimpanzees can use their numbers and agility to keep the situation chaotic. They quickly retreat whenever the gorilla moves toward them, then circle back from another direction, maintaining the pressure without staying within easy reach. In the forest, this kind of confrontation reveals an important reality of survival. Raw strength is not always enough. Sometimes, numbers, coordination, speed, and strategy can be just as powerful. Their natural enemies keep chimpanzees constantly alert, especially after dark. When a leopard moves silently toward their trees, a watchful chimpanzee may spot the predator before it gets too close. Suddenly, the entire group erupts in alarm. They scream together, shake heavy branches, and even use other aggressive displays to make themselves appear more threatening. Their warning calls can echo through the darkness, sometimes convincing the leopard that approaching any closer is simply not worth the risk. But danger can also come from competition over food. During the day, chimpanzees may encounter troops of baboons in more open areas, where both groups are competing for valuable food resources. A confrontation can quickly become aggressive. Large chimpanzees may pick up stones or pieces of wood and throw them toward the baboons while charging forward with loud calls. Faced with this coordinated display of aggression, the baboons may retreat and move away. For the chimpanzees, it is another way of defending access to the resources they need and maintaining their position in their territory. The effects of aging and physical weakness can appear in chimpanzees much as they do in humans, and few moments are more moving than watching a once powerful animal begin to slow down. As an older chimpanzee's hair changes color and joint pain makes every movement more difficult, it may gradually fall behind the younger members of the group. A male that once ruled over the group and commanded respect throughout the forest may eventually lose much of his strength. And when that strength is gone, he may spend his remaining years sitting quietly apart from the others, living a far more solitary life than the one he once knew. Their close biological relationship with humans also means that chimpanzees can be vulnerable to many of the same kinds of illnesses. They can develop fevers, respiratory infections, and other viral diseases. When illness takes hold, a chimpanzee may shiver, sneeze repeatedly, and lie weakly on its carefully built nest of leaves. And in the wild, there is no medical care waiting to help. A disease that might be manageable with treatment can become a serious threat when no medicine or professional care is available. For a chimpanzee, the final chapter of life can be a quiet one, as age and illness slowly take away the strength that once carried it through the forest. Today, chimpanzees face their greatest threat from one species in particular: humans. The heartbreaking sound of machinery now echoes through forests that have stood for centuries, destroying the habitat these animals depend on. Mothers are forced to flee with their infants held tightly against their bodies, searching for safety as their forest disappears around them. But chimpanzees are more than simply residents of these forests. They are an essential part of the ecosystem itself. As they eat fruit and travel long distances, they carry seeds through the forest and spread them through their droppings, helping new trees grow far from their parent plants. At the same time, by hunting smaller monkeys and insects, they also play a role in keeping populations within the forest in balance. If chimpanzees disappear, that delicate balance could begin to unravel. After millions of years of surviving in these forests, a species that once moved freely through its vast home now faces a shrinking world, threatened by habitat loss and illegal hunting. If these remarkable products of evolution are not protected, tropical forests could one day fall silent without the lively calls of chimpanzees. And we could lose one of nature's closest living reflections of ourselves. But the journey into the hidden world of nature does not end here. For more extraordinary wildlife stories and remarkable secrets from the natural world, subscribe to Fin Uncovered and stay with us as we continue exploring the fascinating world of the wild.